Hello and welcome to this space whenever you find it. I'm recording this on March 17th of 2023. I took a sabbatical from doing any of this kind of collective work, mostly because I found myself unable to tap into the type of frequency necessary for the inner process to become relatable. Um, I think it has a lot to do with the extended stay that Mars has had, should I say, in Gemini, 8 months. It's about to change in the coming days. A lot is about to change, so it seemed like the perfect time to try to tap back into some of the energy that can hopefully elevate us and guide us into a better understanding of the times that we're living in. God knows we need that because it is a very energetically chaotic and compoundingly restrictive energy that we are all sifting through, navigating, and it's hard. It's been really hard, and hopefully you've also had the opportunity to do some deeper inner work. I haven't been particularly intentional with that work within myself, but I know that it's happened in some shape or form. And of course, here we are nearing the very end of Pisces, meaning that we are about to start a new astrological year with Aries around the corner, marked by the new moon on the 21st. Now, that new moon, I should say, is also squaring Mars and in good aspect to Neptune, but this is causing a deep sense of confusion and frustration around the type of energy, the thrust that we really require to set the tone for some new rite of passage into the unknown, the expansive. And I'm feeling that very much at the moment. That's really what directed me to finally get myself together. And I mean, it was about 15 minutes ago that I decided to pull out some cards and um, do a brief meditation and get myself into a space for this. So it was pretty sudden, and it's because I know that the end degrees of Pisces are always the hardest for those of us who are sensitive to the energies of the planets, or at least attuned to them by awareness. And I've really found it to be a stew of energy for months now, where even though I've been following what has been taking place astrologically, I've also felt a deep sense of being overwhelmed, of being confused, of being outside of the capacity to harness the energy into something more tangible. And of course, we become inundated with the mundane when we are looking for ways out, because we become very, very aware of the restrictions in our lives. And Saturn's been having a little bit of a field day with that. And of course, Saturn changed signs, which, into Pisces, which takes us into a very different space of forcing through the necessary changes and endings around limiting spiritual beliefs, emotional beliefs, who we are emotionally, our emotional map. So, of course, I can sit here and address you, but I know that there's a strong chance that you are as flummoxed in many ways as I am and have been. So this hopefully is an opportunity for us to rise beyond that and discover something new. I don't have a particular plan for this. There are some new elements I decided to bring in just for the sake of it. Um, Another major influence coming in astrologically, which I don't know how it will manifest or what will change for us, but that is Pluto moving into Aquarius out of Capricorn. And this is also going to radically change our experience of life. So, especially because it's a much more extended influence. And I guess everything that I've been feeling is just an amalgam of influences that I don't know how to pinpoint. So this reading is as much for me as it is for you because I feel that I need a little bit of guidance and direction to step beyond the the madness of my three-dimensional existence, trying to endure existing within the confines of a societal construct that means very little to me, but that I exist within for fear of failure at attempting anything else, attachment to comfort and security and safety. And let's be honest, we are brainwashed into being addicted to safety and security. And subsequently, we've all kind of lost the plot as human beings because we don't really have a lot of very human experiences anymore. So we've seen a lot of things change over the course of the time that we've been doing this work together, and I feel that I became very jaded by the narrative in the general community that I had made myself a part of through this spiritual work. Um, it gets. I think we've talked about this before, not that long ago, actually. I think maybe even in my last video, I was still at that point where I was really focused on how being very frustrated by this narrow cyclical agenda that so many people have who use tarot or astrology to express their view of how things are being experienced in the collective. Um, it's as if the the barometer shifts constantly. The actual criteria change all the time in order to suit these very banal, repetitive interpretations of influences that are far too complex, just based alone on the fact that we all have individual experiences that mean that how I experience Mars moving from Gemini into Cancer is going to be different from how you would experience it. I mean, I look at Mars moving into Cancer as being, Cancer again. All the water signs are very difficult to me, probably because I'm a Sun fire sign, and so there's an opposition there. There is something that is not naturally um, um, complementary, and so the fire in me is easily extinguished by the water elements, particularly as my moon is in Pisces. So, so I struggle with water. Um, but of course, it's also my shadow, and so it's where all the real treasures lie. And recently, for whatever reason, I have completely removed myself from any form of mindfulness and intellectual pursuit around my own emotional journey. Maybe because I've been doing individual therapy and also group therapy, and so a lot of that energy has been tapped into the more immediate analysis of my history. But from a spiritual perspective, I find that extraordinarily limiting because I really don't wish for everything in my life to revolve around um, trauma and parental, you know, figurative, like killing, symbolic killing of the mommy and daddy and all this kind of stuff. That it's an exercise. It's something that we have to go through in order to better understand our trauma, in order to work through our trauma, in order to integrate our trauma, in order to integrate our shadow, but it doesn't integrate a lot of spirituality into the process because there's a lot of merging with trauma, which means our inner child carries those wounds, and then that becomes a repetition cycle of. So anyway, I'm going off into a psychological um, diversion, but the reason why is because I'm talking about these water signs, and Mars moving into Cancer for me is going to probably be a kind of explosion of moving away from these restraints of every system in which we live as human beings is designed to restrict us into conforming to a particular view. It's all hierarchical. I've seen it recently with my own therapist, who also hosts the group therapy that I'm a part of, where, when I challenged him on his leadership, you know, the egoic trigger was there. And it's like, well, how on earth do I put my own intellectual faith in reverence to somebody who is so flawed? And of course, everybody's flawed, but he gives the impression of requiring some kind of um, reverence of therapist versus patient, So again, this is oversharing on a personal level, but the reason why is because I'm trying to explain what a lot of these shifts right now are all about, in my opinion, and that is, if we're going to take our place in the collective, then we better do it based on who we are individually, what gifts we were given, however we've been shaped by our trauma and our history and our experiences, um, that are unique to us in order to give us the platform on which to flourish and contribute to these next chapters. So that's where I'm at. That's where I'm hoping you're at, and that's where I want us to take this energy. So how I'm going to start is I did pull a random card from the White Light Oracle, um, a deck that I'm always a little baffled by. But I had basically said to myself, if this reading was going to happen, then whatever card I pulled from it would have to be pertinent and relevant to the entire reading. And when I read the first paragraph of Shekinah, I feel like I got my answer, and which is why I'm here talking to you. So I'm going to read, and then we shall meditate a little on that. The spiritual worlds want to help you resolve your worldly concerns. It is safe for you to rely on spirit as a loving, protective, helpful, and practical presence able to positively affect all areas of your life, including facilitating the resolution of physical problems. Do not limit your spirituality to concepts. Instead, apply your higher knowledge and principles, grow your wisdom, and live your path. Acknowledge your value as a person, as a soul. Treasure the gift of your path, and let your spirituality integrate with all facets of your life. Shekinah is a Hebrew word that translates as the dwelling place of the divine. Shekinah is the embodiment of the light. She is in us when we are living our spiritual path, applying our wisdom and principles so our actions, our courage, our choices awaken compassion in our world. We are the sacred change makers and healers of the collective. The divine electricity of spirit needs willing soul bulbs to shine forth in the world. In the esoteric Jewish tradition of Kabbalah, Shekinah is the sacred feminine, the capacity for an experience of spirit entering the soul of a human being. When a soul is approaching the sacred experience of Shekinah, the ego has given way to some degree. There is enough inner space and heart willingness to surrender and receive so that spirit can infuse the soul. The soul becomes more luminous with white light. We resonate more with spirit than with ego. We feel like our true selves. And that's exactly what has been missing in my case, and I can intellectually relate to that and obviously realize how much I have not surrendered spiritually to Shekinah, in the sense that all the angst and anxiety that I carry with myself, I mean, lately I've just been kind of looking at my life and thinking to myself, oh my God, I am just really going through the motions at this point. And I'm not doing anything differently than most people are doing. I'm busy, so therefore, by the modernist standards of the capitalist freak show that we live in, I am a functional human being. But in so many ways, I am constantly questioning how it's possible that I could be this limited at this point in my life to the confines of an existence that revolves around money, making money, and and um, and of course, there are many other things in my life, but um, not that are a source of passion, artistry, creativity, um, deeper understanding, empathy, compassion, love, none of these things. And that's all the ego, right? I mean, that's the That's what it is. It's being trapped by my own ego. My ego takes all the space, and there's no room for Shekinah. When the soul becomes Shekinah, a holy dwelling place of spirit, our experience is very different to the ego-driven ways of living. We slow down and accomplish that which is meaningful. We feel connected to all that is, so we are inspired to do what we can to help according to our tendencies and talents. We co-create rather than compete, because that's what it feels like when you're just in a materialistic state of mind. You just feel as though that ego within you is just always competing, comparing. Oh, I'm not here, or I'm here, or whatever. It's just like it's just a constant measure um, of something that is soul destroying, really. We accomplish our aspirations because we are no longer in our heads, but practicing our spiritual path daily. Our practices resonate with our hearts, increasing our awareness, love, presence, patience, commitment, and peace. Our spiritual practices are our life raft when the oceans of life become wild, and our magic carpet when we feel stuck and need inspiration and freedom. Our practices increase our compassion for ourselves and others. When Shekinah is in your reading, you have both permission and encouragement from Spirit to embrace spiritual practices that resonate with your heart and commit to them, especially when you think you don't need them or they don't seem to be doing anything for you. Those are the times you need them the most. To embrace Shekinah is to embrace action, to commit, to engage, to walk our talk, and to be the light we want to see in our world. The ideas that nurture and inspire your heart are important, but the actions that transform hesitation, fear, and doubt into boldness, trust, and confidence are essential to bring those ideas to life. You have it within you to live your light and put all your problems and concerns into the capable hands of a deeper guiding wisdom. You are not giving away your power in doing so. You are actually empowering your sacred fulfillment. This oracle brings notice of an opportunity to apply your spiritual principles. You are encouraged to consider how you can live so that your inner beliefs and outer actions are in alignment. This is not about denying the ego and its pains. It is about having compassion and responding from a place of kindness and determination to heal. The oracle also suggests a matter of a material or physical concern can be touched and healed by spirit. Your task is to invite spirit in and allow it to do what it knows how to do. Find relief in the knowledge that spirit is with you and wants you to heal through all matters of concern. And that's exactly the conundrum. That's exactly why I've disappeared from this channel for the last couple of months, is because there's been such a giant division between my inner life and the sanctity of my spiritual growth and my outer life, in which I survive rather than thrive. Um, because I'm not being a light in my environment, because I work in an environment that constantly requires an enormous compromise of common decency, because I work with people who are not very nice. And who expect conformity. In other words, that in order to survive and climb their ladder, you have to be like them, which means really lowering the frequency. And that's been, of course, I understand that that is within itself a giant test. I just haven't yet committed to the lesson. So let's see what it says for the healing process with this card, because I think it's a pretty big one, and I think it really does engulf everything, and we can all use this fresh start with Aries upon us, and harness that Pluto energy moving into Aquarius, because that's big, in combination with Saturn in Pisces. This is all, let's harness that and make everything intentional in our pursuit of what's next. Connect consciously with your heart, allowing yourself to be fully present in this moment. Noticing the flow of your breath in and out will support this process of transition into sacred inner heart space. Place a hand on your heart and say aloud, I call upon Shekinah, sacred feminine presence of the divine spirit within my heart and within all hearts. Awaken, divine sister, we need you. To you I surrender all concerns in need of a higher solution. I trust that the healing capabilities of spirit are far greater than the depressing scenarios generated by fearful, wounded ego. I invite your sacred presence, protection, grace, blessing, and peace to restore me to my authentic path, to correct all issues in my life that have become tainted or confused by ego, and ensure my soul's spiritual fulfillment for the benefit of all beings. Thank you for your love and presence with me always. Imagine, see, feel, or intend that a beautiful white light is awakening in your heart and radiating through all parts of you, shining like a white spiritual sun. It may shine all the colors of the rainbow from your heart or remain as white light. The beautiful rays of light reach through all levels and dimensions of existence. Simply let this happen as you surrender into the effects of your prayer and your practice. Rest in this luminous offering for as long as it feels right for you. Finish with your hands in prayer and your head bowed with respect for life. You have finished your healing process. Obviously, I will need to do that in my own time, but maybe you can pause this now and manifest that for yourselves. I haven't pulled any cards yet, but I'm just going to pull some random cards. I pre-shuffled the decks, but I'm going to continue shuffling to see what comes out for us. It's been very intense, hasn't it? The devil. The devil is the underlying energy. The ego, what gets in our way. The devil is always in the mind, right? We immediately get the Six of Pentacles. The Six of Pentacles is the idea of what you reap is what you sow. What goes in comes out, with a more positive slant, because it is with an intent of plentiful and bountiful energy. But because it comes on the heels of the devil and the Two of Wands, meaning there's some kind of informed choice here in this, I'd say that we're getting the opportunity with the Aries season upon us to actually make that choice consciously, to move away from the devil energy, to move away from whatever that is, however that manifests in your life. Addictions, I mean, addictions, one of the things I have to face in my life is that, there's a concept of addiction that is more problematic than the activity itself. I mean, of course, there's a physical addiction, but I'm talking more about the mind, because a lot of this is about the ego, so it's our mind. So how do we look at our habits? How do we judge ourselves based around our habits? Do we chastise ourselves because we overindulge in food or alcohol or liquor or whatever it is, or liquor? I was going to say weed, marijuana, but apparently my brain is fried. Um, or sex, for many. I mean, I see it more often than not in the environment that I live in Los Angeles. Like this uh, covert addiction cycle that exists in people, where it's like they're just looking for attention all the time to fill a void. This is the devil energy too. This is the need to have somebody else or something else give us reinforcement of our value, because we can't give it to ourselves, because we're not actually letting in this into our heart. We're just filling it with whatever else we can fill it with. We do have a stuck energy right now. I'm taking this at the center of our reading as being really about where we have stood, where we still probably stand in this end of Pisces energy. There's strong sense to me of having been in an energetic rut. There's the rut, Two of Pentacles, juggling. You see this story. There's the Six of Pentacles. It's about balance. The Two of Wands. It's about a choice, like also balance. Two things. Then you've got the Two of Pentacles. Another juggling. This is really the idea of the pendulum swinging, and like being, really caught between two mindsets, two realities. This is all coming to a head. This is the intentionality of all of this. We have to make this happen. We have to make it happen within the conformism of our lives, because if we don't integrate it into the structures that we already have, that is precisely why the Two of Pentacles is the problem here, because we see two different things. We see our inner life and our outer life as two separate things, when they really have to become one and the same. And the Hierophant really is the marriage of that into tradition, into ritual, into habit. All of these things can be positive or negative, like a ritualistic addiction can tear us apart. But if we bring spirituality into that, it takes away the burden of the need to control, right? So, I mean, obviously I'm not talking about people that are addicted to heroin, or drinking, a bottle of scotch a night or something, but I'm talking about the way that we handle our indulgences, our escapism. Here's our Mars in Cancer energy coming in with the Queen of Cups. There's going to be a big shift for us into really embodying our emotional fullness. That means owning our vulnerability and making our vulnerability integral to who we are. Once again, I think a lot of us have put walls up around us in recent months. Um, those walls have to come crashing down. It's time. Yeah, it's time to heal. It's time to it's time to step out of the hangman energy of being stuck in what's not. It's a pause, right? It's a period of pause, voluntary or involuntary. It's a period of pause. The Four of Swords is the healing process out of that um, pause to be able to move into something. So far, that's all kind of our past energy that has been coming out there. Um, let's see what the future has for us, where this leads to. I don't often do these intuitive reads this way. In fact, I haven't done them at all in recent times because generally I don't like it when I don't have a good sense of narrative. So that's why I usually pull the cards in advance, because then I sort of piece everything together into a story, whereas this, I just have to take each card as being an indication of what to go with next. Okay, we have the Judgment card, but it came out in reverse. So right now, what we're looking at is it's a real problem with truth. Um, we're dishonest with ourselves. We've been dishonest with ourselves, and it's really been tripping us up to be this dishonest. When I say dishonesty, I mean, when we're justifying our lives, when we're justifying our attachment to security, safety, comfort, um, we hide from the possibility of rejection, failure, just experiencing anything new that could actually break us free from our cozy prisons, or not so cozy prisons sometimes, which leads to this. This is where we're, immediate future. I mean, I'm feeling this now, so there's a possibility you're already feeling it, or um, but Ten of Swords is kind of like the nervous breakdown energy. I mean, I'm not wishing that upon anybody, and I don't think I'm on the verge of a nervous breakdown either, but I have noticed these pulses of depression and existential angst that have sort of been a little bleak um, in recent times, and feeling very overwhelmed, like at my wit's end, like kind of like definitely needing the Four of Swords retreat to heal, which I'm sort of giving myself like this weekend, because it's the first time that I won't be working this weekend in a while. And there we have it, the Hermit, which pretty much explains exactly what that requirement is. Go inwards based on the Shekinah card. I think we're getting a very strong indication that we really do need to make room for that energy in our heart so that light can come back into our soul, because I think we've all been very distracted with the material and the outside world, and it's turned us into this Eight of Swords. I mean, I've been feeling this very viscerally, you know, not feeling good enough, not feeling, just allowing insecurity to dictate my mood, my approach, my lack of approach, all of those things. We talked about that before. It's like the false self that I curate in order to make it through the experience of life as it presents itself, it's all built on ego lies, you know, not being able to, not being able to just accept myself as I am, being concerned about really silly, inconsequential things. And in letting go of those, again, it's an exercise. We have to do this very consciously. We have to let go of our insecurities, like address them. Whatever insecurity comes up, I'll give you an example. Like in a week, I have to fly to Miami for work, and I'm going to be with people that I work with um, in an environment where I'll probably have to like go to the pool and like be in beachy kind of attire and things, and it sounds so ridiculous because on top of that, I mean, I work out. I like actually like am fit, but I don't accept my body. I can't accept middle age on any level whatsoever. So, like where I store a little fat or whatever, I'm like, really deeply disturbed by this. Um, Not in my daily life, but the idea of being who I am in front of other people apparently is a problem. So, in letting go of those things, we get an Ace of Pentacles. Um, Whatever that opportunity is, I have no idea what it is because I can't read the future. But there's an opening from that. It really is like everything about this reading is telling me that we've been attached to some very false values, false realities, false um, structures in our lives that have misled us again from the things that we actually, that are actually really of value to us. And the problem is when we do that, we kind of end up feeling weakened, and because we're not being authentic, that weakening in turn becomes our identity. So then the world starts caving in on us, and it starts feeling very small, and it starts feeling very restrictive and three-dimensional. And we're too big for that now. So we got to take some risks with ourselves. Again, they're not necessarily material risks. These are existential risks, spiritual risks. Um, we have to look at what we have in our life and really spend some time contemplating what they're worth to us. Because unless we know what the value is of the things that we have in our lives, we cannot decide whether or not there's room for anything else. And seeing as everything about this reading is saying that there is a need for room for something else that we're not tapping into, we're going to have to do that work. Um, it's a lot to move beyond. There's a lot of angst and negativity and fog, existential fog, and it's time for us to step beyond that once more. And the answer to that is the Temperance card. The Temperance card comes out. That is our conclusion to the tarot portion of this video. I've just felt that way. Because the Temperance card is again about figuring out how to find balance in the things that we're doing in our lives. And obviously we've gone way in one direction, way too far into being focused on our problems, or like, the grind and the minutia and the, distraction of trying to control things that we can't control, which leads to, and this came out underneath that Temperance card, leads to Five of Pentacles, poverty consciousness. You know, we've got the Eight of Swords and we've got the Five of Pentacles as cards showing what we need to eliminate. If we don't eliminate them, we find ourselves in the Ten of Swords energy, the breakdown being at the end of our rope, and the Judgment in reverse. You know, we want to turn this judgment upright so that we can receive the divine wisdom and the divine experience. That Ace of Pentacles. So again, temperance, what do we see the theme of? Coming back to what we were talking about in the beginning, where we had the Two of Pentacles, we had the Six of Pentacles, we had the Two of Wands, we've got temperance here. It's like there's this real focus on duality. And I think duality is an inevitability of the experience of life. But if we cave into one over the other of that duality, which most of the time for us is like spiritual versus materialistic, then we lose the plot, you know? I mean, you know, because you can go all dreamy and Neptunian and go in the other direction where you're, excuse me, only focusing on um, transcendence, and that makes you kind of nuts in its own way. And, you know, that's, to me personally, I instinctively feel that that's not the purpose of life. It's not what we're here for. And Osho comes to give us the answer to what we are here for. And it's pretty straightforward. We get two cards. We have creativity and we have celebration. So let us read the wisdom of those cards. We'll start with the creativity card. What's that? Ah, it's Major Arcana. That's why I'm looking in the wrong place. Is it the Empress? I imagine so. From the alchemy of fire and water below to the divine light entering from above, the figure in this card is literally possessed by the creative force. Really, the experience of creativity is an entry into the mysterious. Technique, expertise, and knowledge are just tools. The key is to abandon oneself to the energy that fuels the birth of all things. This energy has no form or structure, yet all the forms and structures come out of it. It makes no difference what particular form your creativity takes. It can be painting or singing, planting a garden, or making a meal. The important thing is to be open to what wants to be expressed through you. Remember that we don't possess our creations. They do not belong to us. True creativity arises from a union with the divine, with the mystical and the unknowable. Then it is both a joy for the creator and a blessing to others. And of course, obviously there's a strong correlation there with this energy, right? I just want to point out that this person looks very familiar to me. I won't say any more. Creativity is the quality that you bring to the activity that you are doing. It is an attitude, an inner approach, how you look at things. Not everybody can be a painter, and there is no need also. If everybody is a painter, the world will be very ugly. It will be difficult to live, and not everybody can be a dancer, and there is no need, but everyone can be creative. Whatsoever you do, if you do it joyfully, if you do it lovingly, if you if your act of doing it is not purely economical, then it is creative. If you have something growing out of it within you, it is, if it gives you growth, it is spiritual, it is creative, it is divine. You become more divine as you become more creative. All the religions of the world have said God is the creator. I don't know whether he is the creator or not, but one thing I know, the more creative you become, the more godly you become. When your creativity comes to a climax, when your whole life becomes creative, you live in God. So he must be the creator because people who have been creative have been closest to him. Love what you do. Be meditative while you are doing it, whatsoever it is. Words to live by, right? Um, and then the Three of Cups, which is very much a card of togetherness and community. I don't really have much of a community in my life, but let's see how we can be inspired to create community within us. Because we can have spiritual community within ourselves with energy, right? These three women dancing in the wind and the rain remind us that celebration never need depend on outside circumstances. We need not wait for a special holiday or a formal occasion, nor a sunny and cloudless day. True celebration arises from a joy that is first experienced deep within, and spills over into an overflow of song and dance and laughter, and yes, even tears of gratitude. When you choose this card, it indicates that you are becoming more and more available and open to the many opportunities that are to celebrate in life, and to spread this by contagion to others. Don't bother about scheduling a party on your calendar. Let your hair down, take your shoes off, and start splashing in the puddles right now. The party is happening all around you every moment. Life is a moment to celebrate, to enjoy. Make it fun, a celebration, and then you will enter the temple. And even as I'm reading this, I can tell you everything I think about in my life right now, I felt a sense of dread just came to me. I was like, fuck that. How am I going to find celebration within myself when I'm thinking of everything in my life with a sense of dread and doom and gloom? And, you know, a friend of mine said to me earlier via text, like, when you go to Miami for work, you'll make it what you want it to be. So, like, you may as well enjoy it if you're going to go. And I was like, of course that makes sense. But at the same time, I'm like, I have no idea how I'm going to enjoy it because I'm dreading it. And so it's all a state of mind. And obviously, I need to do some serious meditation and figure that out. But it's that resistance. It's like it's a sickness. Of course, it's a sickness. It's a spiritual sickness to be resistant, and it's all ego because it's all the idea that I fear not being in control. Whereas if you surrender and you just let things be and you experience them with an intent of joy, how can you go wrong? I mean, that's all we can do, right? Until we die. Why am I shortchanging myself so much? Right? Like, I literally shortchange myself of joy constantly in life. And I speak collectively. Hopefully, you can see yourself in that because I know you do it too. We all do. It's a sickness. It's the world in which we live, with the, onslaught of social media and what people have come to value in our society. It's kind of inevitable to, that we would all be victims of the same sickness, right? So, um, look at life. Do you see sadness anywhere? Have you ever seen a tree depressed? Have you ever seen a bird anxiety ridden? Have you ever seen an animal neurotic? Well, the last one, unfortunately, pets. Yes, you see them, and animals in zoos, right? But that's because they're conditioned by mankind. No, life is not like that. Not at all. Only man has gone wrong somewhere, and he has gone wrong somewhere because he thinks himself to be very wise and very clever. Your cleverness is your disease. Don't be too wise. Always remember to stop. Don't go to the extreme. A little foolishness and a little wisdom is good, and the right combination makes you a Buddha. Um, this card is staring up at me. Do I dare read it? It's just been sitting staring at me, and I just feel like maybe I should. It's 20. I think it's judgment. Um, so maybe that's to give us clarity on what that turning that card upside down is all about. Um, turning it from being upside down. That's what I'm trying to say. If I make any sense at all, that is. 42. I'm going to read it. Let's do it. The butterfly in this card represents the outer, that which is constantly moving and that which is not real but an illusion. Behind the butterfly is the face of consciousness looking inward to that which is eternal. The space between the two eyes has opened, revealing the lotus of spiritual unfoldment and the rising sun of awareness. Through the rising of the inner sun, meditation is born. The card reminds us not to look outside for what is real, but to look within. When we focus on externals, we too often get caught up in judgments. This is good, this is bad, I want this, I don't want that. These judgments keep us trapped in our illusions, our sleepiness, our old habits and patterns. Drop your opinionated mind and move inside. There you can relax into your own deepest truth, where the difference between dreams and reality is already known. This is the only distinction between the dream and the real. Reality allows you to doubt, and the dream does not allow you to doubt. To me, the capacity to doubt is one of the greatest blessings to humanity. The religious have been enemies because they have been cutting the very root of doubt, and there is a reason why they have been doing that, because they want people to believe in certain illusions that they have been preaching. Why have the people like Gautam Buddha been so insistent that the whole existence, except your witnessing self, except your awareness, is just ephemeral, made of the same stuff as dreams are made of? They are not saying that these trees are not there. They are not saying that the pillars are not there. Don't misunderstand because of the word illusion. It has been translated as illusion, but illusion is not the right word. Illusion does not exist. Reality exists. Maya is just in between. It almost exists. As far as day-to-day activities are concerned, it can be taken as reality. Only in the ultimate sense, from the peak of your illumination, it becomes unreal, illusory. We're going to do one last thing. These cards are called Know Yourself cards. And um, I'm going to read one and maybe reflect on it and share something with you personally if something comes up. But I think I want to do this so that we all have the opportunity to do a little bit of self meditation upon ending this session together. So this is the question. What things do you often end up buying that don't, on reflection, much of the time actually satisfy you that much? I mean, that's a rough one for me because most of the things that I buy, I feel that way about. That's why I don't really buy very many clothes because I always feel that way about clothes. Um, I suppose I feel that way about anything that I do, I spend money on to fill a void or to try to create some kind of an illusion of myself. Um, it's not that easy to answer, really. But again, the idea is for you to ask that yourself. And then on the reverse side, there's a little insight there for us to contemplate based on that question. We're surrounded by a vast system of influence, advertising, that tells us that tells us with immense skill what we should want. Unsurprisingly, we frequently and repeatedly end up buying stuff that doesn't deliver. Holidays where we get bored and anxious, clothes that we don't ever wear, cars that don't justify their enormous price tags. We should keep track not just of our expenditures, but also of the satisfaction on a scale of 1 through 10 that they brought us. It's an interesting exercise, right? Okay, that is our first reading together in some time. Hopefully, it got you to ask yourself some questions so that we can all become unstuck from wherever we have become um, entrenched and stagnant and trapped. Um, I do feel that these messages have given me a sense of where what I need to address and what I'll be working on in the coming days, and the intentions I'll be setting for myself and for all of you at the new moon in Aries, just around the corner. So happy new astrological year to you. Happy Aries season. Um, Exciting stuff. As the old song goes by the singer Yaz, the only way is up, baby, for you and me now. I send you infinite blessings and love, and I will be back when the opportunity next presents itself. In the meantime, be safe, but don't be safe, if you know what I mean. Because the beauty lies in the untried. Mwah! That wasn't very graceful. I'm not feeling very graceful. So be well. Be gone.